Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name's Christine and I'm currently a professional dancer on board the Odyssey of the Seas. This is also my first contract, so keep that in mind when watching this video. Everything I've learned on this ship and on this contract. I just want to give a little disclaimer because I obviously researched a lot about living on cruise ships before I got here, but of course nothing teaches you more than real life experience. In entertainment, there's a lot of things that are different to other departments on the ship, so just keep that in mind. Everything is just based on my own experiences and what helps me. With my research, I've watched a lot of videos that are very similar to this, so I tried to pick some things that I didn't really hear before. Without further ado, I'm going to tell you guys about 10 things I wish I knew before I started my first contract on the cruise ship. Number 1, I have stock up on healthy snacks. This has definitely been something that's been super important to me because we have a crew mess, which is a buffet that is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But sometimes those hours don't really align to when you eat. Like breakfast closes, I want to say at 8:30. If I wake up at 9, there's no chance I can get breakfast. If you're hungry at night and it doesn't align with the mess times, then you're kind of screwed. So at ports, and especially on turnaround days, I try to stock up on some healthy snacks. I love getting granola bars and little cereal bars because then I can just throw them in my bag for a day at port or when I'm heading backstage between shows. I always try to keep a little something with me in case I get hungry. We have a slop chest, which is like the crew shop, and in there it's mainly chips, candy, cookies. Those are the kinds of snacks that are in there. So if you want to maintain a healthy lifestyle, I definitely recommend to buy your snacks off of the ship. Here in Europe, there's a lot of little markets, so I've been trying to grab little snacks at those little markets before I get on the ship, so then I have something to eat in those in-between times if the mess is closed. My next tip is to bring a hobby. On this ship, if you don't have another hobby besides your job, it can get mentally exhausting because you're really here for work. So if you're not working, you want to have something else that you can wind yourself down. As a performer, if we don't have shows, then usually we're not really doing that much, especially if it's a sea day and we're not at a port. Personally, I love reading, so I have a bunch of books. You can see all my books on my little bookshelf, but I also have my Kindle and I'm just constantly reading. If I'm not dancing, not working, I love to come back to my room and read. A lot of my other friends have board games, card games. Sometimes we go have little game nights. We also have coloring books. A big thing is your hard drives. If you've watched other cruise videos, you know it's probably a really smart idea to bring a hard drive. In the cruise ship community, everybody has a hard drive and has TV shows and movies on there because obviously we can't stream with the Wi-Fi on board. I had one that was 1 terabyte and then I've bought another one that's 2 terabytes, but I also make these YouTube videos, so I do need a little bit more storage. If you ask around, you are able to get so many movies and TV shows. For us dancers, we have a group chat for our cast, so we're constantly like, hey, who has this movie? Hey, does anyone have this TV show? And then we meet up with the person, steal their hard drive for a minute, download it over, and then we have something to watch. I also love watching YouTube videos, so I have YouTube Premium, which is super helpful because when I'm off in ports, I can download videos, so then when I get on the ship, I have a ton of videos that are already downloaded that I can watch. All that to say, make sure you bring a hobby on the ship because you don't want the only thing you do on the ship to be work. Number 3 is find a good travel service provider. I can only speak on my experience because I started off with Verizon because that is what I have back home. When we travel to the Caribbean ports, sometimes my Verizon wouldn't work or you'd have to pay a certain amount to use the service for the day. After asking around, this is the best option my cast has found is Google Fi. It has been really helpful for us cruise ship workers who are literally in a different place every single day. I found that it's been really helpful because once we're at a port, we can turn on our service, choose which service works best, and since we've been at these ports, we're kind of in the groove knowing which service works the best. We choose the service provider we want to use and then it works throughout the day. Not to say it's not glitchy, but I will say that is just the best option I've found right now. Also, if you know a better service provider, please let me know. My cast would greatly appreciate that. But as of now, we all have Google Fi and that is what we use when we're off at ports to get service. Number 4 is something very, very important. Find the balance between your alone time and socializing. In this environment, we are working with, of course, living with the same people every single day for months and months and months on end. So it gets really easy to just get into the habit of hanging out with everybody and realizing you've not even been in a room by yourself for weeks. And I've gotten a lot better at communicating that, so sometimes I like to get off at a port by myself, go to a little coffee shop. I do find my alone time when I'm reading or I'm editing videos and things like that, but especially with having a roommate, working with the cast, meeting people from all over the world, it's very, very easy to just constantly be around people, which is really amazing on one sense, but also it's very important to find your alone time and be by yourself with your own thoughts once in a while. Just be aware of your social battery because it will get drained extra fast on this ship. The next thing is creating storage space where you can. Now, I did not know anything about how this would work before I got on the ship, so this is, again, one of those things you just kind of have to see when you get here, and of course every ship is different. So on the Odyssey of the Seas, if you guys watch my cabin room tour, I can show you what this cabin looks like. Me and my roommate went to Target, we ordered on Amazon, we were able to get some storage options, like we have floating shelves, we have our drawers, and so we found different ways to keep some storage in our rooms. That varies a lot per ship, and it's probably better to buy it once you're already moved into your cabin. Any space that you have, you can use it to your advantage. As a dancer too, backstage I have my own station, and because we basically live backstage, that is our workplace, I'm able to store some things back there that I don't have space for in my room. Take advantage of every space you have. Number 6 is to pack comfy clothes. In crew areas, walking to the cafe, walking to the mess, you have to think about the day-to-day attire that you want to wear. I wear a lot of activewear, baggy t-shirts on top. A rule that we got told once we were on board was no pits out, no tummies out, no toes out. So basically having comfy clothes that does not show your tummy, has sleeves. For hanging around the ship, you really want to be appropriate. There's also so many cultures on board. You could be offending someone's culture and have no idea because that's just what you wear around the house back home. You do have to be respectful when you're walking around crew areas, so definitely recommend packing some appropriate comfy clothes to be on the ship. And because we are on board a cruise ship around the Caribbean and Europe, we are often in bikinis, laying out, tanning, so make sure you pack an appropriate cover-up because you do not want to walk from the pool deck to your room in just a bikini. So you have to make sure you have a cover-up that is appropriate. In my contract, it talked about having to wear smart casual clothes, which of course is very important. The biggest tip is dress one step above the guests. That's kind of the rule that we always go by. And appropriate smart casual clothes, they don't love tummies being out, they don't love super short dresses, but as long as you're appropriate and you're dressed very nice to present yourself nicely, that is kind of the guide for smart casual. Now it really depends per cruise director, because we had a cruise director where on formal nights our dress had to touch the floor, whereas our cruise director now is not super picky about it, but of course we still have to be appropriate in guest areas. So just keep that in mind if you are someone who has to dress in smart casual or be in guest areas often. Tip number 7 is communicate with family and friends. Now that sounds kind of silly. I always say ship life is not real life. You could be on the ship for a week and not even think about your life back home. That might just be me. I love communicating with my parents back home, and sometimes I could go a couple days and realize I never even talked to my parents once because you get busy on board, you're exploring these ports, you don't really take the time to really communicate with people. There are some people that you will go months without speaking to if you don't put in the effort to reach out to people back home. This is something I've been prioritizing lately a lot. I've been trying to call friends back home, and of course nearing the end of the contract I'm realizing home is just a crazy concept when this has been home for 11 months and these people aren't going to be home with you. So you need to prioritize those relationships, communicate with friends back home, reach out to people. But yeah, that's a very important thing, is just prioritizing relationships on the ship, because you do not realize that ship life does not equal real life. Here's another tip, is to be a trustworthy human. That sounds like such an obvious thing, but if you think gossip is bad on land, on a ship things will come back around in a day. We are working with, living with the same people every day. The word gets around 10 times faster. Rumors spread constantly, we call them crewmers. We hear crewmers about who's coming on board or switching ports. The amount of crewmers I've heard of people just being like, hey, we're not docking here today, we're docking here actually, and it's not even true. It's just a crewmer. It's literally playing telephone with thousands of people. Another big tip is to know your audience. There are pros and cons to everything. Everyone's gonna complain at one point in life, but know who you're complaining to. Do not complain about performing a show to a housekeeper who's working 24/7. Don't complain about how you didn't like this port to someone who is not able to get off in a port. Everyone's going through something different. Everyone has a life back home. Everyone comes from different cultures and we're raised different ways, so it's just imperative that you kind of keep a filter through everything you say. Know your audience. Be a trustworthy human. You want to be the person people can confide in and trust, and know that your word is not going to be spread around the whole ship. My 9th tip is saving versus spending. Personally, as someone who's paid rent and had bills, I feel like ship life is such a great place to save because you don't have to pay rent, you don't have to pay food on board, and you're able to save a lot of money. But with that being said, I am a big advocate on spending for experiences. All my friends know me. I will never be that person who is not going to get off the ship to save money. That is just not going to be me. If it's a port we've been to a million times, I will still get off and just get a little coffee and chill because I'm in Turkey or I'm in Italy. I don't want to not get off. Of course it's different if you have to work. Like today we're in Italy and I can't get off because I'm about to work in an hour. But when it has to do with not spending because you're getting off the ship, I just always think I could be paying rent, I could be paying for dinner, but instead I'll get off at a port today, get a meal. When it has to do with transportation or excursions, experiences, I honestly don't really limit myself because one day I want to talk about the day I went to Sorrento and had this amazing meal. So I try not to limit myself on those experiences, especially not because of money, because money always comes back. Experiences are not always going to be there. I know not everyone will agree with that, but that is how I view my life here on board. My last tip, which is something I didn't take account of before I joined this company, was take advantage of crew discounts. On board, you're able to get discounts at the specialty restaurants, the spas, the shops, really anything you could buy on board in guest areas, you get at a discount. We often have crew sales. They're usually right after payday and it's just for crew and it's just discounted products from the shops that you're just able to get at such a discounted cost. This is something I did not know till lately. When you're off in port, always say your crew, maybe sometimes say your crew. Sometimes you do want to flex that your crew. You want to go to a restaurant and say, I'm here every week, I can bring my friends, and sometimes they hook you up with a little discount. It honestly happens all the time. Transportation too, in Santorini, it's €6 to go up the cable car as a guest, and it's only $1 for us, which is awesome. Now we have our little local spots we like, and they know we come back every week. They know we bring friends every week, so then they give us little discounts, and that's just really nice. So I definitely recommend to just say your crew and see if you're able to get discounts in places in port. I literally just had a meal in Turkey. The waiter brought my bill and I paid it, and we're having a little conversation, and I said, I'm here every week. And he was like, I would have given you 20% off if you would have said that you were crew. So I've just learned since that experience, I said I'm just always gonna say that I'm crew. If you're a dancer, performer, entertainer, you might love this. Being employed as a Royal Caribbean dancer, you are able to get Sweat Collective, which means you get 25% off Lululemon. With my uniform, I wear Lululemon. Of course, we wear Lululemon activewear for everything, for rehearsals and just hanging around the ship. That discount is very nice. And I did not know any of this before I started working for this company. It's pretty nice that we get good discounts. I just want to share one little bonus tip that I was thinking about. You are able to order packages on the ship. There is a little cost. I think it's about $5 per package that gets delivered. If you can't find things to buy in port, you can always order to the ship, and I did not know that till I got here. Another little bonus tip is to make sure you see sunlight. So closed off in these crew corridors, we don't have a porthole. We're on deck 1, deck 2. Make sure you prioritize going upstairs, seeing the sun, and getting outside, because it is really easy to get trapped here if you're not thinking about it. Alright guys, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed learning some things that I wish I knew before I started this contract. I'm learning new things every day, and again, things change between ships, between departments, so these are just all based on my experiences. But I hope you learned something today. Whether you want to work on a cruise ship one day or don't and you're just curious, then I hope you enjoyed this video. You guys already know what to do. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and click that bell so you're notified every time I make a post. Make sure you're following my Instagram because I'm updating that with all the different places I travel. I try to post a lot on there. And wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a great day.